What is going on, guys? UFC 321 just wrapped up this past weekend, and I'm not going to lie, it was probably the worst pay-per-view event of the year. Probably the worst event in general of the year, guys. Unfortunately, on paper, the card did not look too bad. It looked pretty solid. I'm not going to say it was great, but it looked solid. We were finally getting Tom Aspinall back in action for the first time in like a year, defending against Ciryl Gane, man. Unfortunately, the fight was cut short, and not because of an early knockout like you might think, but because of an eye poke. A no contest, okay? Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. Everybody's freaking out, okay? I want to start off the video by saying this also. If you stick around till later in the video, I'm going to give you some fights that the UFC should make following UFC 321. But, bro, why is everybody on social media going to Twitter, going to Instagram, typing out Tom Aspinall was scared? He wanted to find a way out. He took the easy way out of the fight. He was getting pieced up by Ciryl Gane. Was he getting beat by Ciryl Gane? Probably so. However, it was a very competitive round. And this just proves how good, this is going to be some glaze, but this just proves how good Tom Aspinall has been, because the moment you see any sort of adversity, any sort of success from Tom Aspinall's opponent, everybody thinks he was getting dominated. Okay, let's look at the statistics. The statistics back it up. Total strikes, 27 from Aspinall to 30 from Gane. I get it. Ciryl Gane busted up Tom Aspinall. He was leaking blood from his nose, right? That's the visual everybody sees. So just because of that, everybody thinks that Ciryl Gane was just popping him with the 1-2, on the verge of getting Tom Aspinall out of there. That was not the case. Go rewatch the fight, the 4 minutes of the fight if you want to. The fight was close, like you said, or like I said, 3 significant strike advantage for Gane. Gane was probably winning the first round. I'm not here denying that. But why are we acting like Tom Aspinall was getting pieced up, dominated? Okay? I predict these things, man. I predicted Tom Aspinall with a round 2 submission. I was still feeling good about it. I even said this on my live stream that everybody was going to be panicked about Tom Aspinall in the first round because Ciryl Gane's such a great striker. He's going to be landing the jab. He's probably going to land some teep kicks up the middle. Look like he's going to start to pick apart Tom Aspinall. And that's kind of what we saw. He wasn't piecing him up, but he was finding his jab. He was finding his range. Tom Aspinall fans are panicking. Even John Jones fans were all, laughing hysterically, thinking that Tom Aspinall's a fraud. Everybody's saying Aspinall's a fraud from this. Tom Aspinall shot one takedown. Credit to Gane. He stuffed it. Going into the second round, I would not expect Ciryl Gane to have finished Tom Aspinall in the last 50 seconds or so. So assuming they made it to round 2, Tom Aspinall would have sat on his stool, and going into round 2, he would have shot another takedown. He probably would have shot multiple takedowns if the first one didn't work. He's not content sitting there fighting Ciryl Gane's jab, fighting at Ciryl Gane's range. That's just not his style. Tom Aspinall, it's hard to tell because he has not faced adversity in his entire career, but Tom Aspinall does not strike me as a guy with zero fight IQ. He does not strike me as a guy that if you're losing on the feet, let's just keep this fight standing, bro. Maybe we can land something. I don't get those vibes from Tom Aspinall. Was Ciryl Gane winning the fight? Yes. But seeing what I saw, even if you were to ask me at 4 minutes into the first round, who do I think is going to win the fight, I would still stick it out and say that Tom Aspinall was going to find a way to win that fight. However, we're never going to know, but it looks like they are going to rebook it, the rematch, Aspinall versus Gane. But anyway, guys, very much a disappointment, bro. If you spent $80 on that, I apologize. It sucks. We're all ready for the Paramount deal, so we don't have to, pay for these pay-per-views or, perfectly legally stream them. But anyway, man, it sucks, man. I feel bad for Tom Aspinall, but not just Aspinall, man. I feel really bad for Ciryl Gane because he was looking sharp, man, like we said. Jandiroba versus Dern, great fight. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista, guys. This was a good fight too. It was a good fight. Umar was in control. Mario Bautista, man. I said this too. I picked Umar by decision. I felt like it was a lock, and it was. However, Mario Bautista was this close to knocking Umar Nurmagomedov out cold. Yes, Mario Bautista timed a beautiful high kick. I think he landed with the knee, but it landed flush on Umar, sat him down, bro. But outside of that, Mario Bautista was a step or two behind Umar. wrestled his way to a decision like we thought, like we predicted. But Umar at a minus 625 was crazy anyway. But anyway, Umar did get the job done like we predicted, like everybody predicted. Umar is going to be fighting for the title next. I'm assuming Merab has called him out. Again, I'm not trying to spoil it, but if you stick around, you will see the fights to make next. Nothing else to really talk about. Mario Bautista is legit. He's not title contender legit, but he's top 10 legit, if that makes sense. He's going to be one of those, what do you call it, gatekeepers, I guess. He's going to be a solid contender at the top of the division. However, he's not a future champion, okay? Especially not in this bantamweight division, which is really, really good. Moving on to Volkov Almeida. This one's tough, man. This one's tough. The internet seems to be divided because, like, Almeida, what's the control time? I guess we can look at the stats. He landed 7 takedowns. But how do you get outstruck this bad? 123 total strikes from Volkov, almost all from his back, compared to 27 from Almeida. You know what? When I was watching this fight, I was thinking they're going to give the nod to Almeida. He landed 7 takedowns. He was on top the whole fight, basically. But I'm so glad they gave this to Volkov, bro. Because Almeida was completely stalling the whole time. A lot of it, it's not like he was just sitting in mount either, looking for a finish. A lot of this fight took place with Almeida on top in Volkov's guard. Not trying to pass, just content laying, not trying to even land any damage, just content laying in Volkov's guard. Volkov was doing great on his back. He was not getting up to his feet, but he was landing some elbows, landing some shots from the bottom, and ultimately, it was enough to win him the fight, bro. But Almeida, I tried to defend you, man. People saying he's just a smudge grappler, he's boring, he's a decision merchant. I tried to defend you because he has had a lot of finishes in the past. I'm not defending you anymore. I never liked Almeida, but I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's got some submission wins. He's got even some TKO wins on the resume. You're not getting defended anymore, buddy. This is actually kind of annoying, bro, because Gelton Almeida is so very talented. He could be a potential world champion one day. But, bro, you're potentially in a number 1 contenders fight, right? And you don't take advantage of that. You looked good. You landed the takedowns, but why? Why not go for a finish? Why not threaten any submissions? Why not posture up and at least land some sort of ground and pound? Work, something. Try to pass his guard. Try to move over into mount, bro. You're not doing anything. You're laying and praying, trying to win a ground control decision. And this is the thing, bro. Even if Gelton Almeida would have got the nod, I don't think Dana White would have booked him for a title fight. Not with the performance like that. This is the thing, bro. You cannot just win in the UFC. We see it with Evloev. We see it with some other guys who get screwed over. But you can't just win, bro. You have to be either impressive or you got to be selling fights to earn yourself a title fight. And Gelton Almeida does not fit either of those, okay? If he would have went out there and got a submission, got a knockout, sure, he would be next for the title. But he didn't, bro. 27 total strikes. Not just significant. 27 total strikes in a 15-minute fight. So you're averaging less than 2 total strikes per minute, bro. It's ridiculous. You need to go back home, look yourself in the mirror, and realize, do you really want this, okay? Coach Casual Take is crazy, bro. But it's embarrassing, bro. It kind of embarrasses the sport. It makes it look bad. You're just hugging, trying to rack up control time. That's not fighting, bro. I'm going to be honest. Look, it takes skill to even do that, but that's not fighting, bro. And lastly, Rakić versus Azamat Murzakanov. I've been saying Rakić was the most underrated fighter in the division. Now he hasn't got a win since 2021. Azamat just sparked him out with the jab. Azamat Murzakanov might be legit, bro. He only landed 4 total strikes compared to 13 from Rakić. Rakić was looking like he was doing all right for the 3 minutes that it lasted. Azamat just found the shot. Great timing. Put him out cold. He looks like a legit contender. He's going to take another step up in competition. He's probably 2 fights away from a title fight. If he gets 2 more knockouts, he definitely is. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that one, bro. Let's look at some fights to make next. Let's go ahead and kick things off with the main event, guys. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Aspinall versus Gane is just going to get rebooked. I hate the way that it ended, bro. I hate it for Aspinall. And not only that, I really hate it for Ciryl Gane, too. Prepared well, was looking very, very sharp when everybody counted him out. Ciryl Gane was looking good. Again, I'm not going to say on his way to winning the fight because it was a 5-round fight and there was only 4 minutes that we got to see. However, he was looking sharp in those 4 minutes. Aspinall versus Gane, bro. We got to rebook this, and we got to rebook this soon. I don't want to wait till February of 2026 to have this rebooked. Aspinall went to the eye doctor. It looks like everything came out okay. It's probably still going to take him a little bit of time to recover. But like Aspinall versus Gane should be taking place in December. There's no excuse that it should not be the headliner of the December card now. That's what I think. It's okay. You've already got 2 title fights on that pay-per-view. That's fine. It's the last pay-per-view potentially ever. Okay, right before the Paramount deal, let's go out on a bang. Let's have Aspinall Gane headline with Merab versus Petr Yan as the co-main because that's not a really good main event anyway. And for the feature fight, another title fight between Pantoja and Joshua Van. That's a banger pay-per-view, bro. Again, Aspinall Gane's not a super fight. Neither is Pantoja Van. Neither is Merab Yan. Those aren't bringing a whole bunch of eyeballs. Aspinall Gane is bringing in the most eyeballs out of any of those. It helps the pay-per-view in general. It helps Aspinall Gane in general. So I think you rebook this fight as soon as you can. Obviously, I would love to see it be added in November. Not on MSG. I don't think that's possible. But Aspinall Gane on the Qatar card would be sick. I get that it's a fight night. You probably can't do a heavyweight title fight on a fight night. But if there was any way they could transform that into a pay-per-view, that would be a really good pay-per-view. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Umar Nurmagomedov, guys. We're going to skip Jandiroba and Dern. Just because who cares, man, okay? Umar Nurmagomedov, you are going to be waiting for a title fight, okay? Merab's going to be fighting Petr Yan in December. It's not like you got to wait a whole year. Merab is probably, he's definitely the most active champion on the roster, and it's not close. So I do believe Merab is going to go out there and defeat Petr Yan again in December. And he's probably going to be ready to turn around and fight again in March. Now, again, we'll have to see you'll have to work around Umar's schedule and everything with Ramadan. Don't know how that works. Not too educated on that. But if we can book this fight in February, that's even better. Merab, I do think, is going to beat Petr Yan. I don't think he's going to take too much damage. Merab's a machine anyway for a reason. I don't think you book Umar versus Sandhagen. I don't think you do Umar versus O'Malley. Just not right now. It doesn't make too much sense. They want Sandhagen to get a couple wins. They want O'Malley in the win column for sure. Merab seems like he's actually interested in a Umar rematch. Umar obviously wants to fight for the title again. That was such a close fight. The most competitive fight we've seen against Merab in quite some time. And honestly, one of the fights of the year. Umar's definitely at least the second best bantamweight on the roster, probably on the planet. I think you rebook this fight if Merab gets through Petr Yan, of course. If Yan somehow pulls off the upset against Merab, maybe you just do Umar versus Yan. Or maybe you let Merab get his immediate title fight rematch. You could do that too. Umar should be fighting for the belt next regardless. So I don't think in the meantime you do an Umar versus Yadong or O'Malley. It just doesn't make too much sense. Let's go ahead and move on to Alexander Volkov, a.k.a. Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know if anybody else sees that. I think he looks just like Qui-Gon Jinn. But anyway, I think he should wait for the title shot, bro. I know Volkov's already fought Aspinall and Gane. He arguably beat Gane the last time they fought, but Volkov's the clear number one contender behind Ciryl Gane, bro. Like, do we want him to fight somebody else right now? It doesn't really make sense. He's beat Pavlovich. He's beat a bunch of contenders. I think he was on a 4-fight win streak going into the Gane fight until he got robbed, so he would have been on a 5-fight win streak. And then he just beat Gelton Almeida, so it's like, but as y'all can see, I know I'm not slick. I know y'all can see it, but y'all see Derek Lewis in the corner, okay? If the UFC does not want to let Volkov sit around and wait to fight the winner of Aspinall and Gane, the only thing that makes sense is the Derek Lewis, okay? I don't think that makes the most sense. I would rather see Volkov sit out. I don't think Derek Lewis really wants to fight Volkov right now. He's calling out Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's fighting this weekend. I think he will get a dub. And I think that fight makes sense. Derek Lewis versus Cortez Acosta. Derek Lewis seems like he's actually making another legitimate run to the title. However, I think they're kind of going to spoon feed him good matchups, okay? I don't think they're going to give him Volkov, Derek Lewis, because I don't think Derek Lewis would accept that. I also don't think that Volkov would accept that because he's a number 2 contender who arguably beat the number 1 contender and just beat the number 5 contender. Why would he want to go back and fight number 8? I think Derek Lewis, it doesn't make too much sense. But if they want to, if the UFC wants to establish a true number 1 contenders fight, I guess you do Derek Lewis versus Volkov, the rematch, because Volkov was beating Derek Lewis, I think, the whole fight. And Derek Lewis does Derek Lewis things, somehow pulls it off, lands a big overhand right, knocks out Volkov with like maybe 10 seconds left in the last round. So if they want to book Volkov for a fight, the only fight that makes sense would be against Derek Lewis. I think he should wait around. Moving on, the final booking for Casual FC, the final fight to book is Azamat Murzakanov versus Khalil Rountree. I know in my last pay-per-view we said Khalil Rountree should fight Volkan Oezdemir. That fight makes a lot of sense too. However, I'm more intrigued with Azamat Murzakanov versus Khalil Rountree now. Azamat's looking good. He needs a step up in competition, obviously. He seems to be making quick work of most of these guys put in front of him. Let's give him Khalil Rountree. Let's also give Khalil Rountree a step down in competition because he's been fighting straight killers and former champions. So let's see how legit Azamat really is, fighting a former title challenger in Rountree. And let's see if Rountree can bounce back. This is a win-win for the UFC because you either have a new prospect who just beat Khalil Rountree, who a lot of fans know of, or we can actually get Khalil Rountree back in the win column fighting another top contender in his next fight. So I think this fight makes all the sense in the world. Book it early, maybe February 2026. Rountree may need to rest up actually coming off that KO win, or KO loss, excuse me, by the GOAT Yuri Prohaska. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. Let me know what y'all think down below. Let me know which matchups you want to see next. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and turn the post notifications on so you don't miss a live stream. But I appreciate y'all once again, and we out.